What do you do when you're stuck in a rut? It means you're just going through the motions and don't care anymore. What used to excite you no longer does. What used to be fun gets boring. What you used to be so grateful for becomes a routine task. This happens mostly at work, but can also occur in other aspects of your life. What you should know is that it's normal. It happens even to the best of us. So, how do you get yourself out of a rut? The bigger question is, why are you in a rut? To answer that question, it needs a lot of self reflection. Here are three things you can ask yourself. First, how did you get to this point? Often, we tell ourselves our outside circumstances dictate where we are, but we are active participants in our lives. What were the reasons behind the choices that led you to this point? For example, I became a coach because of several small events that led me to this point. But I was an active participant and made intentional choices because of my desire to empower people. And anytime I feel stuck, I go back to that purpose. What about you? Next, what excites you? Being in a rut is sometimes connected to a lack of motivation or joy. What excites you? Why does it excite you? How can you apply in your current situation? For example, as a former actor, acting excites me. When I worked in the corporate, of course I could not act like in TV or theater, but I had to ask myself, what about acting do I like? And I realized it's about storytelling. So anytime I was in a position where I could tell stories or present something, I get excited. But when in positions where I felt like I couldn't tell stories, I get bored. And lastly, what are your expectations? Do you have any expectations that were not met or seems impossible to meet? What prevented you from meeting them? Is there any other way you could find them? In the past, I got into a role where I felt I had a voice in the company's decision-making process and that they hired me because I added a different perspective. But anytime I offered my view, it got shot down because this is how we've been doing things. So, as someone excited about culture change, I was not serving my purpose. So, I started my company where I could steer our culture. There are more questions to ask, and a life coach can help you process this. But whatever situation you're in, know that it's temporary. Life has a lot of peaks and valleys. You look back at this moment and smile.